Hello and welcome back to Game Domain. Today we're bringing you guys our second top sellers of 2019, with this edition focusing on yet another classic Nintendo console. So far we've covered Nintendo's GameCube, Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS, N64, Wii, and Microsoft's Xbox 360. In this edition of Top Sellers, we're venturing way back to the depths of Nintendo's gaming history. In fact, all the way back to the very first console released by Nintendo, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Widely regarded as the NES, this pioneer console debuted in Japan on July 15, 1983, and on October 18, 1985 in North America. The NES sold its way onto 61.91 million units worldwide, being supported by the debut of flagship franchises such as Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda, which also took up the large majority of individual game sales, as you'll see in this video. So, with that being said, let's move into the honorable mentions to start things off. Before we get into the real list, which is only the top 5 best-selling games on the system, we would like to acknowledge the games that just missed the cut in the 6 to 10 spots. Coming in at number 10 is Nintendo's Golf, which is playable on the Switch Online NES emulator service, so go check those games out. Number 9 houses Excitebike, followed by Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is Dr. Mario, and finally followed by Tetris at number 6. All 5 of these games just barely missed the cut of being NES top sellers. Now, let's get into the real list, starting with number 5. Number 5. The Legend of Zelda, 6,510,000 copies worldwide. Making the list by a large margin, over 1 million more copies than Tetris, is none other than the original Legend of Zelda. Released on February 26, 1986, The Legend of Zelda quickly burst onto the gaming scene as one of the most popular games of its era, and that would continue straight up until today. Although the game is looked upon now as outdated due to all the 3D Zelda greatness that we have now, this game is a must-play for any Nintendo fan, and especially anybody who calls themselves a Zelda fan. We've already said so much about this game in past videos, such as our Ranking the Zelda Games video, so we don't really have too much to add about this game at this point. This game introduced us to all of the things that we love about the Legend of Zelda series, giving us everything ranging from the main protagonist Link and Princess Zelda to the iconic Master Sword and even Link's green tunic. This 2D, pixelated paper plate looking world known as Hyrule has evolved into one of the most detailed open maps in the history of gaming, evolving more and more and getting more detailed in each new game. This all draws back to the beautiful world and, more importantly, series known as The Legend of Zelda, which is arguably the most acclaimed Nintendo franchise of all time. The original game for the NES was a pioneer in the scheme of open-world gaming, and it sold its way to 6,510,000 copies worldwide, making it the 5th top seller on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Number 4. Super Mario Bros. 2, 7,460,000 copies worldwide. The next game that gets to call itself an NES top seller is actually one that is not at all well received among the Nintendo community. As most popular media goes, sequels are almost always not as good as their predecessors. Of course, there are a few exceptions to this rule, like Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, as well as Pokemon Gold and Silver. But this rule certainly does not apply to the game that comes in here at number 4. Just about the only reason that Super Mario Bros. 2 finds itself on this list is because of the beginning of its title, being that it is, of course, the second installment in the Super Mario Bros. Series. The game is not a horrible game, but it certainly is the outlier in the series' original trio, being outdone by both its predecessor and its successor. The original Super Mario Bros. Broke new ground in the gaming industry, and it being such a large success swayed people into going out and purchasing the sequel game. The major reason for poor fan perception of the game over in Japan was how overly difficult the game was. Before the American release, the game engine was completely redesigned to model the interim game Yume Kojo: Doki Doki Panic. The game has been reconfigured for many different consoles on many different emulating services, which has given future generations the ability to experience this game as well as the other 2 original Super Mario Bros. Titles. Super Mario Bros. 2 has sold its way to 7,460,000 copies worldwide, making it the Nintendo Entertainment System's 4th top seller. Number 3. Super Mario Bros. 3, 18 million copies worldwide. The game coming in at the number 3 spot is the one that we ranked as our second best Super Mario Bros. Game of all time, that being in our Ranking the Super Mario Bros. Christmas special that we did this past December. Super Mario Bros. 3 is the 3rd installment of the historic Super Mario Bros. Series and is certainly a major improvement on both the games that came before it. It's critically acclaimed as one of the greatest games of all time and widely regarded by many as a top 10 Nintendo game of all time. The game made enough changes to make it feel different from the previous installments, but also enough similarities to make it feel partially like the same game. This equal blend of new and old made this game one that was revered among people of the late NES gaming generation, and it was titles like this that got people's hopes up for the next generation of gaming that was coming in the form of the SNES, which was at the time still just a few short years away. Some of the new elements found in Super Mario Bros. 3 would become iconic Super Mario staples, such as the Koopalings and the world map. In this entry, you are also now able to slide down slopes, pick up special objects, and even freely climb vines. Mario can also now fly with the pairing of special power-ups known as the Super Leaf and the Tanuki suit, which gave Mario the appearance of a raccoon and a tanuki to go along with the flying ability. The game became so popular that it even crossed its popularity over to the media side of things, as it was even featured in a collaboration between Nintendo of America and NBC Network in the form of The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3, an animated television series. Super Mario Bros. 3's popularity carried its way all the way to 18 million units sold worldwide. This is enough to make Super Mario Bros. 3 the Nintendo Entertainment System's third top seller. Number 2, Duck Hunt. 28,300,000 copies worldwide. Coming in as the NES's second top seller is a game that isn't at all popular compared to the rest of the games on this list, but had its popularity surge over the last few years due to what we call the Smash Effect. Duck Hunt's inclusion in the last two installments of the Super Smash Bros. Series. The Smash Effect is essentially just the increased popularity centered around a specific character or game after it was introduced into the Super Smash Bros. Series. This includes, but is not limited to, Duck Hunt, the Ice Climbers, Dr. Mario, Mr. Game & Watch, and Rob. All of these fighters were not very popular before their respective introductions into the Super Smash Bros. Series, and all got a shot of popularity for themselves and the games or series they came from. For an early Nintendo title being released in Japan in April of 1984, Duck Hunt is fairly violent. While not graphically intense violence, the idea of shooting ducks in a kid's video game was something that today is much more acceptable than it was back in the day. Duck Hunt is by far the most simplistic game that finds itself onto this list, as there is nothing else to the game other than shooting ducks. The only other thing we could say is that this game utilizes the NES Zapper accessory, which, back in the day, made the game feel as realistic as it possibly could for a game of its nature. Duck Hunt sold 28,300,000 copies worldwide, making it the Nintendo Entertainment System's second top seller. Number 1, Super Mario Bros. 40,240,000 copies worldwide. Now that we've gotten this far, the NES's top sellers shouldn't be too much of a surprise for most of you viewers out there. Just as the Pokemon series dominated the top sellers list of most of Nintendo's handheld consoles, Super Mario Bros. Has done the same here on this list for the NES. And without the original, you couldn't have either Super Mario Bros. 2 or 3, so that leaves us with the original Super Mario Bros. Coming in as the Nintendo Entertainment System's top seller. As with the original Legend of Zelda game, there's almost nothing else that we can say about this game that we haven't already said in previous videos. This game is a masterpiece in and of itself, and is a trailblazer, not only for 2D platforming games, not only platform RPGs, but for Nintendo as a gaming company, which essentially means gaming as a whole. This game changed the scene of gaming forever, as everything up until this day would be completely different without it. Launching what is arguably the most popular gaming franchise in history, the original Super Mario Bros. Showed fans what the NES and Nintendo was truly capable of, and that they were no longer the gaming card company that they had started as in the late 1800s. The original game itself might very well be among the most popular video games of all time, and is certainly one of the most well-known. Players, of course, take control of the iconic Mario, who goes on his extraordinary adventure to save Princess Peach from the evil Bowser. I mean, that pretty much sounds cliche at this point, that's how well known this storyline is. We've seen it done a dozen times in different iterations of the series, but it is still as fun and amusing now as it was back in 1985. And we'll cut ourselves off there before we get too repetitive, as we can't reiterate enough how incredible this title is. Super Mario Bros. Sold its way to a whopping 40,240,000 copies worldwide, changing lives and the course of gaming history with every copy sold. And that is why Super Mario Bros. Gets to crown itself as the Nintendo Entertainment System's top seller. Thanks for watching today's edition of Top Sellers. Make sure you stay tuned to our channel for more episodes of Top Sellers, as we will be bringing you guys more episodes over the summer. Be sure to tell us what you thought of today's edition of Top Sellers in the comments section below. But while you're commenting, please remember that this list is completely factual data and has none of our opinion in it whatsoever. This series is just us telling you guys about what games sold the best on their respective consoles, and this video was no different, with these 5 games being the best-selling games on the NES, whether we like them or not. While you're down there, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Check out our Patreon, where you can donate to our cause and contribute to the great videos that we produce. Some benefits of becoming a Patreon member include seeing future videos a day early, as well as having your name displayed at the end of our content. Our Discord is open to you guys to come and chat with our staff members and each other about gaming, so don't be afraid to join. We have great discussions about gaming topics in our Discord, and it's a great way to communicate and even play with fellow gaming fanatics and viewers of our channel. Stay tuned to Game Domain for more great content, and thanks for watching Top Sellers, Nintendo Entertainment System Edition.